A rural farming community outside of Blackfoot, Idaho is a quiet, tranquil, beautiful place to raise a family. Outside the hustle and bustle of a big city, this area boasts large lots with farms, pastures, and open space between each residence. Everyone knew everyone, and neighbors looked out for each other. But beneath the surface of normalcy, a terrifying secret was about to be unearthed. At the center of it all were two upstanding pillars of the community, loved by all that knew them. First, an 85-year-old woman named Christine Jenneiahn. The second was a beloved 39-year-old Derek Condon. They both would become the topic of deep and dividing conversations. The allegations of what happened one dreadful night in March 2024 absolutely could not be believed right from the start. The 911 operator wasn't buying the tale being told, but sent police and ambulance out to the home just to be on the safe side. When the police arrived and paramedics arrived, they went straight into duty. But as soon as Christine and Derek were taken from the scene, police body cams show those police officers and detectives did not believe the story being told. They would wait to see where the evidence took them. Uncovering the truth based on evidence rather than delusions revealed an unfathomable result. The investigation started with a very large story. The responding officers discovered one person lie dead and another shot multiple times, covered in blood. The crime confrontation happened in the middle of the night at around 2 a.m., but the call to 911 wasn't made until 10 hours later at around 12:30. So many questions, so much evidence, and so much speculation. The initial responses from the 911 operator to the responding officers was doubt and disbelief. Was the beloved elderly Christine Jenneiahn suffering from delusions and in a crazy state of mind shot and killed a friend, all while her son was asleep in the basement? Or did a pillar of the community actually break into her home, as Jenneiahn alleged, pistol whipped her, and threatened to kill her? Let's talk about elderly delusions. What are they? They are false beliefs that persist despite evidence to the contrary. They can occur in older adults with dementia, schizophrenia, or delusional disorders. A common example of delusions in a person with dementia is the belief that an imposter has replaced their relative. They can fear that their home is being invaded. So it makes you wonder, is that what's happening here? When the police arrived at Jenneiahn's home, she was in fact shot, and Derek was also shot, lying in a pool of blood, dead on the kitchen floor. Now, uncovering the truth of this mystery was in the hands of the police and the detectives. Did Jenneiahn suffer from a delusion and falsely think that a family friend from her community was actually an intruder and in a delusional state shoot and kill him? Or was her accusations that he was trying to kill her and she killed him in self defense the truth? Or there could be a third possibility. Had the disabled son shot and killed Derek and shot his own mother, and they both came up with a story to explain what happened and tried to make it plausible? They had 10 hours from the initial shootings to create a story. So did Jenneiahn's son David convince his mother to lie for him to save her own life? So many questions. Getting to the bottom would take some time, but even though people may lie, evidence does not. So, following the alleged story and the trail of evidence would bring the investigators to a clear and concise conclusion to this unbelievable tragedy. Before we dive into the depths of this stranger than fiction story, please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to all so you can be notified when I put up new content. I do appreciate all your wonderful comments and subscriptions and your support for my channel. You really are the reason I do this, so I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Before I dive into the story, I feel it is only right that I reveal that I personally grew up in East Idaho, in Bingham County, the county that these shootings happened in. I moved away when I was 18 and I've lived all over the country, but I still have a lot of family and friends in the area. I heard about this crazy, crazy story firsthand from sources who are very close to all the families involved. I have friends in common on both sides of the aisle on this one, so I'm doing my very best to make sure that no one is vilified. I was going to do an initial video before the full police report came out, but so much of the buzz around the community was based on speculation, and I felt that the chance of someone being wrongfully demonized was just simply not fair. So I patiently waited until all the evidence in the case and a full report was made public, and the case was officially closed. I didn't have to wait long because there was so much evidence and the truth did come out. Let me give you a little backstory. Christine Jenneiahn is a quiet, gentle, unassuming woman known to take homemade cookies to law enforcement officers. Her name, Jenneiahn, is German, and it's mispronounced all the time. So to help people remember how to pronounce it, she's known to say, it's just like home again, jiggity jig, but it's Jenneiahn, jiggity jig. Jenneiahn knew how to have fun and was kind to everyone she came in contact with. She was also a no-nonsense, no-fluff type of person. Jenneiahn is known to be a very nice old lady who knew a lot about guns. In fact, she and her late husband had owned a gun shop in Blackfoot before she retired. Condon was actually someone she knew a little bit, but she knew his brother a little bit more. Condon was also a gun enthusiast. This is actually a very normal and common thing in eastern Idaho. My niece shot her first deer before she was even 16. Many Idahoans spend a lot of time in the great outdoors, hunting and fishing and other recreational activities. But Jenneiahn was not your average recreational hunter. She was a professional. In fact, she was a coach for the U.S. Olympic team for more than 20 years. She had a lot of guns and she certainly knew how to use them. Derek Condon married Cara, the woman of his dreams, even though he was only 5 years old when she graduated from high school. They found each other and fell in love. Cara had 3 children from a previous relationship, but Condon, who all those close to him called Gus, was said to always be kind and helpful. He took the job as a stepfather very serious, showing love and compassion to his stepchildren, who apparently loved and adored him. Cara and Gus married in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Cara manages elderly facilities as well as has been on the Blackfoot City Council. While running for city council, Cara continually thanked her loving husband Gus for all of his love and support. Together, they had a lovely home and property. Cara even offered to anonymously help buying struggling families Thanksgiving groceries so they wouldn't have to worry about going without. Together, Kara and Gus enjoyed family vacations in their large RV, hunting, camping, and trips to the gun range. When Kara's daughter was in the Distinguished Young Women's Scholarship Program, her stepdad, Gus, was willing to be her escort on stage. He literally treated Kara's kids as if they were his own. Gus was very handy, even poured concrete and built a large shop on their property. No one that knew him ever thought he could be tied up with breaking and entering an attempted murder of an 85-year-old woman. Jenneiahn's handicapped son, whose room was in the basement and was alleged to be asleep, or at least stayed in the basement until around noon the next day, also had speculation swarming around him. He is legally blind and only has partial hearing. And even though Jenneiahn is 85 years old, she is the primary caregiver for him. He's in his 50s, and it's alleged that he cannot survive on his own. But that also needed to be verified. I have followed a criminal profile called Mike King, who has a YouTube channel called Profiling Evil. And I was thinking of some things that he said when he talks about how people have three distinct personas: the one the public sees, the one your close family and friends see, and the one that you are when no one is looking. The other thing that I was thinking about is the possibility of mental illness when it comes to this case. And we'll talk about that in a minute. The question is, when a person has mental illness but is able to hide it away to the point that others don't know it or see it, or in some cases, they don't know what to do about it may come into play. Again, we'll talk about that in a minute. Following the trail of evidence in this case, we will uncover the traits of the criminal of this tragedy and figure out which one is the monster when no one else is looking. And I mean, it's such a crazy one to uncover. So many times in true crime investigations, you hear people say things like, so and so would never do anything like that. We all think we know what people are capable of based on what we see and hear. But the truth of the matter is, you never really know what is behind the eyes of a serial killer. Not all killers look like the boogie monster you see in scary movies. After the initial report of Derek Condon being shot, Derek, or as his friends called him, Gus, his friends and family rallied around him, telling anyone who would listen that Jenneiahn's account of what happened that fateful night had to be wrong. Many people posted supportive things on Kara's Facebook page and showing their love and support for both her and Gus. Let me tell you about the events of the night according to what Jenneiahn told police. She was asleep in her bed, and at around 2 in the morning she was awoken by a strange man in her room, clothed in black with a mask, pointing a gun at her and shining a flashlight on her. He shouted at her to show him her hands, and then proceeded to put handcuffs on her. She wasn't sure, but she believed he whipped her with his pistol in the head. But her memory of that event was a bit fuzzy. She asked him what this was for, and he said she should know. She said, "That's weird," and Condon took her into the living room. Throughout the incident, Jenneiahn did not recognize who the man was because of the mask, and she just simply didn't recognize his voice. At one point, she said he put a hood over her head, but she kept coughing because she has asthma, and he did take that hood off. Jenneiahn said he took a large kitchen chair that swivels, and it's very heavy, then handcuffed her to that. Condon asked where the valuables were, and she told him they just didn't have much. At the time, her son was in the basement, and the intruder had not, according to her, known that he was there. But maybe she slipped up. I mean, in my opinion, when she said, "We don't have much," if he started to get curious, is somebody else here? He eventually does find the son. And again, I'll get to that point in a minute. So eventually she told Condon there were 2 safes downstairs. Now this was a tricky thing because she knew her son was down there. She wanted to protect him, but what could she do to protect him? Hope that he finds something in the safe and then gets out of there. So Condon went downstairs multiple times and rummaged through several rooms. Eventually, Condon discovered David. Now, what happened upon this discovery is a little bit vague, but apparently it appears that David was asleep, didn't hear Condon, and so Condon saw him, but David didn't see him. Remembering that David is legally blind, so he only sees shadows and shapes anyway. David was not disturbed at that time. So Condon keeps going up and down the stairs, rummaging through the rooms. But after he discovers David, he got angry. And he was mad at Jenneiahn because she didn't tell him David was there. He had then had multiple threats and told her he would kill her. And that's according to her report. At this point, she thinks in her mind, it's now or never. I or my son will die if I don't do something. So in the process of this, Condon tells her to shut up and not to say anything, according to Jenneiahn. Condon then hits her on top of the head with the pistol, and she was just thinking, what did I do to deserve that? But then he goes downstairs again. Jenneiahn said she decided to get her gun from her bedroom after she was sitting in the living room for a while. According to her report, she thought, different things going around in her head, and she was trying to think, what can I do? She was still handcuffed to the chair, and it was heavy. She's 85, but she was able to pull the chair to her room and retrieve her .357 Magnum revolver from under her pillow. She went back to the living room and hid her gun between the armrest and the cushion of the couch, next to where she was sitting. Then she waited. Can you imagine? Condon came back and continued to threaten to kill her. Finally, Jenneiahn decided it was now or never. Now, based on the laws in the state of Idaho, which I will reveal in a minute, about what you can do when you're in that situation. Different states have different laws, and Idaho's is very clear. I'll tell that in a minute. But Jenneiahn decides that she has to do something. She told the deputies that she'd never shot a person in her life and that she's just not that kind of person, but she had to do something. Jenneiahn did reveal to the police that she had been an U.S. Olympic shooting team coach for 20 years, but that she's a nice lady, but you just can only push a person so far. And at this point, she was fearing for her life. And the fact that Condon had aimed his gun directly at her head, she felt that she had no choice but to shoot him. So she shot him when he came up. She fired 2 shots. And once she did, Condon returned fire. She said that he just let her have it and he shot her. Condon actually emptied a 9mm Beretta pistol, hitting her multiple times in the abdomen, leg, arm, and chest. He then walked into the kitchen, fell down, mortally wounded. Jenneiahn then says that she sat on the couch in the living room and was going in and out of consciousness. She was bleeding out, not to mention the head wound. Eventually, she moved to the floor where she remained for about 10 hours. She was ultimately able to call 911 after her son came upstairs and gave her a phone. Now, my understanding, her son is mobile, but because of the accident, he wasn't able to make that phone call himself. He can see some shades of things and hears slightly, but mostly blind, mostly deaf. And so he can't make a phone call. The police officers asked Jenneiahn if she remembers getting shot, and she said, "Oh, yeah, it hurt." She said she thought, "You know what? I'm a goner." Now let's talk about David Jenneiahn's story. Law enforcement interviewed David, who is Jenneiahn's son. They didn't learn much, except that he was hurt in a vehicle crash years ago and he dealt with chronic headaches. That night, he said he was downstairs in his room reading with the fan on. Now, what that means, reading, I'm not sure. Like listening to audio, it's hard to say because can't see very well, can't hear very well. But whatever his form of reading was. Later, after the incident, he came upstairs and saw his mom on the ground. He asked, "Mom, what's going on?" He told the deputies, his mom said, "I've been shot." And then he said, "Well, who shot you?" And she didn't know. Now, as you can see by David's interview with the police, he didn't have a lot of information and he wasn't able to provide help for his mother or anything. So I think that there's definitely, you know, um, cause to wonder if there's some mental capacity that is lowered besides just the being able to see and hear. And that isn't necessarily stated in the report, but the fact that his mother had to take care of him completely is in the report. And so you can only just make assumptions there. Okay, so there you have one side of the story. Again, it's pretty detailed. There's a lot to it. Is it delusions? I have seen people who can tell delusions in such a way that you are sure they're telling you the truth, even though there's no chance they're telling you the truth. I personally know an elderly person, which I won't say who it is, but I'll just say this much. They claimed they went to the doctor and a lot of horrible things happened to them while they were in the doctor's office, including she was put in a bathtub. And anyway, that's a different story. But the point is delusions. There's no bathtubs in the doctor's office. There's no, see what I'm saying? So you have to wonder. As a police officer, you have to wonder. I'm sure it's not their first case of an elderly person telling a lot of things that sound virtually crazy. But as the investigation continues on, a couple of things happen. The evidence that surrounds what happened with Condon, Jenneiahn, David Jenneiahn, it all is matching with Jenneiahn's story. I'll even show you the body cam footage that shows when they found Condon's vehicle and the breaking in and the keys in his pocket and all those things. But the point of the story is, did it really come out of left field? Was this a case of an innocent person coming to maybe buy a gun from an elderly person? There was a miscommunication and she shot him up. Well, a lot of people in the community believed that's what happened. That was the story I was hearing over and over again. I was in Idaho quite a bit covering the Daybell trial. And I went to the Daybell property, so I was in southeastern Idaho. And this is what I was hearing. There's no way he did it. There must have been a mistake. That she must have been, he loved to buy guns. Maybe he was buying a gun. Maybe this. And there was a lot of stories. No one believed that Condon willfully did this. Until there's one person who seemed to, I wouldn't say throw him under the bus, but give credence to what Jenneiahn was saying. And you know who that is? Condon's wife. Let me tell you what she said. Now remember, when Kara was running for city council, she would talk about how great her husband is, and all her pictures and posts and everything she was telling people seemed to be rose-colored glasses, which is what a lot of us think about other people's lives. But behind the scenes, it wasn't all fun and games. Some of Condon's relatives told deputies he did, in fact, have some mental health issues and PTSD from the time he served in the U.S. Marine Corps. They said he had been struggling more lately and had stopped taking his medications. When deputies talked with Kara, that was on March 13th, and she said she was worried about him. A deputy asked why. Tara said the previous day, Condon had told her that he was going to go shooting with his nephew. But then Condon did not come back, and she was beginning to worry because he didn't answer texts or calls. Investigators talked with his nephew, and Condon never came and picked him up. Tara also said that she didn't know for sure what he was wearing when he left, but most likely boots and camouflage jacket. That's going to be key. Deputies asked Condon's wife if it was common for him to go shooting in the middle of the night, and she said that it was and that he did it all the time. He normally carried a gun on him too. She said that he kept to himself for the most part. He rarely left the house. This is starting to sound like someone who has depression and maybe some things if they never leave the house. He only left to go camping or shooting. Deputies showed a picture of Condon on the scene of the home invasion to try and identify him, and she said it was him, and she began crying. How awful for her. At first, she had told deputies Condon's mental state was fine, but later revealed he had been struggling with his mental health, and he'd been seeing a doctor. I think a lot of us try to hide mental health issues, and especially if you're a public figure. A relative told deputies Condon had suicidal ideation, and he would take someone he hated with him. That's what he's alleged to have said to some of his family. And he didn't hate a lot of people. He had a really small list, according to this report. But apparently, for whatever reason, Jenneiahn was on his short list. He knew her from the gun club where Condon sometimes went shooting, and he knew her from the store she owned. The relative said Condon never liked her. Now again, she's a kind of a bit of a no-nonsense kind of gal. And let me give you an example. After the shooting, and she had to be transported from different hospitals, and at the time, again, this is in the thick of the Daybell trial, the police were taking no risks. They didn't know who all was involved in this or what the reasoning was, so they went ahead and kept police escorts around her for her safety. And when she would be transported, she had a full police escort. But apparently, she didn't like it. She's like, leave me alone. I'm fine. I mean, she's no nonsense. And sometimes that rubs some people the wrong way. But, I mean, just because you think someone's rude, this is where I wonder if there's some mental health issues there. Law enforcement did ask Jenneiahn if she knew Condon, and then later, after she had more capacity, not the day of the shooting, but later on, she realizes, when she saw the picture, she did in fact know him. She knew who he was. She didn't know him very well. She might have known his brother a little more than him. And she just said, I know who he was. He was really quiet. But she didn't have, as far as she knew, she had no issues with him. I mean, I just wonder if she outshot him at the gun range and that was enough. You just never know. When there was a search warrant done at Condon's house, that would have been on March 14th. Deputies found a large collection of firearms. And further investigation of Jenneiahn's home, they found a lot of evidence. First of all, Condon was in the kitchen. Now remember, Jenneiahn was in the living room, but she shot him in the heart. That was one of the shots. He had enough time to make a couple of steps before he fell in the kitchen. When they found him, he was on the floor on his back. He had a black mask covering his face, and he was wearing a camouflage jacket and jeans, according to the report. He also had a shoulder bag with multiple items in it, including pistols, magazines, coins, silver bars, and a brass black powder holder. Magazine holders, a knife, and a sword, and these were items believed to be that belonged to Jenneiahn. While emergency crews were there, they checked on Condon and could not find a pulse. Let's just tell you, Jenneiahn was a good shot. There's a reason she trained Olympic shooters. She got him right in the heart. Condon's autopsy later revealed that due to the gunshot wounds, one of the bullets that hit him in the heart was his cause of death. The officers placed plaques over the casings and bullets found on the scene, and there were several in the living room, which we see from the body cam because the first officer unloaded Jenneahn's gun. Between the couch and the kitchen, there was a black semi-automatic pistol identified as a 9mm Beretta with the slide that was locked back on empty and the magazine in the firearm. Next to Condon was another gun, a .22 Kel-Tec. That appeared to have a silencer attached, and it was wrapped in black electrical tape. Deputies said it looked like it had not been fired, but why do you bring a silenced gun unless you plan on doing harm? The deputies also found handcuff keys, lockpicks, and Condon's car keys in his pocket. The Beretta was the one used by Condon to shoot Jenneiahn, and it's still unclear who owned it, not that it really matters. It was on his person. In the basement of the home was a gun safe that was open and appeared to have been gone through, the report said. Deputies found shoe prints in the snow outside. They followed the tracks around the property and through a field. Then a vehicle, a white Honda CR-V, was found a mile from the house. They ran the license plate and found that it was registered to Condon's wife. Ironically, it was locked. So they got a search warrant and went through the vehicle. Inside, they found Condon's wallet, several IDs. There was a roll of duct tape, a money clip with $195. I mean, this is not a man who was destitute for a morsel of bread. They also found a magazine that matched the gun that was found next to Condon's body. On the passenger floorboard, there was a large pistol with a suppressor and an attached light. Law enforcement also found a screwdriver on the ground behind the house, and they were able to deduce that the screwdriver was used to force entry through the window in the back door. The window, which opened vertically, had small pieces of exterior trim that were broken off. The Bingham County prosecuting attorney, Mr. Jolly, ruled Condon's death as justifiable homicide. Idaho is a stand-your-ground state. A stand-your-ground law, sometimes called line in the sand or no duty to retreat law, is a justification in a criminal case whereby defendants can stand their ground and use force without retreating in order to protect and defend themselves or others against threats or perceived threats. A person may stand his ground and defend himself or another person by the use of all force and means which would appear to be necessary to a reasonable person in a similar situation and with similar knowledge without the benefit of hindsight, which is why the prosecutor ruled Condon's death as justifiable homicide. There was no indication Condon had a criminal past. He said the fact that Jenneiahn survived the encounter is truly incredible. Jolly said her grit, determination, and will to live appear to be what saved her life that night. And from what I hear, her grit and determination was because she wanted to protect her son way more than herself.
I got shot last night. An invader came in the house.
I'm sorry, you said you got shot?
Yes.
Who's the guy who shot you?
Hello?
What's going on?
What's going on?
I got shot last night. Yeah, Ken.
Why are you handcuffed?
The guy that shot me handcuffed me.
Who's the guy that shot you?
This is the gun that was used to kill the intruder. And listen to the tone of voice from the police officer. It's almost like, as I said before, he's not believing her story.
If the front door closed, came on season.
I'm
The
gonna
police
unhandcuff you,
blocked
okay?
a lot of the video and redacted some, so we're just going to see what we can see.
Right there.
I got a gun right here. I just emptied it.
Okay, just leave that gun there and throw it in at me.
The 357 is mine.
Okay.
One male suspect was the one elderly female that's going to show him.
Okay, I'm gonna roll you over, okay?
Okay, good.
Give me 1 second.
You didn't see nothing? No, down.
You can hear the police questioning the son, who said he didn't see anything.
I'm gonna take that phone from you, okay?
It's in the kitchen.
Hey, I'm gonna roll you over, all right? Ready?
My legs hurt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because of that victim there. So they've got 3 guns.
Should have two.
He had 2.
I don't know.
Now, of course, hindsight is 20/20, especially after they get all the information. But let's back up and hear the initial 911 call.
What's going on?
I got shot last night. An invader came in the house.
I'm sorry. You said you got shot.
Yes,
Who did you get shot by?
the invader.
How old are you?
I'm 85.
85.
I shot him back. He's dead on my kitchen floor.
Who's dead on your kitchen floor?
The invader. The guy who came to rob me.
Okay. So somebody broke in your house last night?
About between 2 and 2:30.
Okay. Are you shot?
Yes,
Okay. Where's your gunshot wound?
stomach.
Okay.
And I'm also handcuffed. You'll have to bring the key for handcuffs or something to cut them off.
Okay. Don't hang up. So the person you shot is wearing handcuffs?
I am. He handcuffed me.
Okay. Who's that talking in the background?
My son who just got up. He didn't know anything that happened. And I couldn't get to a phone, so I waited for him.
Okay. Where were you shot?
Stomach.
Okay. All right. And what is your son's name? And was that him talking in the background?
Yes.
Okay. Are you able to give the phone to him so I can talk to him?
Yes. The guy wants to talk to you.
Hello. Hi, this is the 911 center. I just want to verify the address you gave of.
Yes.
Okay, she's telling us that somebody broke into your house at 2:30 in the morning and that she was shot.
Yes.
That did happen?
Yes.
I need to know.
On the floor,
Okay,
was
I need.
handcuffed to a chair.
Okay, where is the person that shot you?
Laying on the kitchen floor.
Okay, where's the gun that was used?
Who?
Where is the gun that was used to shoot you?
On my floor. Oh, my gun is in the living room by me.
Okay, and the person that shot you, is that person still alive?
No.
Okay, and okay, do you know who that person was that broke into your house?
No.
Okay, is the person that you shot, is he male or female?
Male. Somebody here.
Just so you know, listen to me. I've got police and ambulance on the way, okay? So we've got help on the way for you. Are you bleeding?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Right.
Okay. So you don't see any blood anywhere?
There's blood all over.
We got a guy here in a mask and she broke in, put her in the handcuffs and shot her. Okay. She shot him. I've got a gun here, a gun there, and a gun by him we haven't touched. Okay.
Nothing. You just keep on breathing, all right?
One up here.
And one right here.
Looks like you got another one here.
Okay.
All right, I got this one.
I don't have anything in my house.
I don't think I have any of these
Any
here.
dogs?
You can look. Yeah.
I want you to walk over there, though. Where did you choose that?
He was downstairs and didn't know anything.
Okay.
What, you want me to grab them for you?
This might be an entrance and exit.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get some shoes so we can step out.
Look at the hutch. The hutch is all shot.
Right over here.
Okay, we've got ambulance coming for you, okay? What's your name?
Do we have room for the ambulance to get in with all our patrol cars? Do we have room for the ambulance,
What
Berkham?
month is it?
There's 3 guns laying here, so I don't know.
It's March. Do you know what day it is?
13.
Okay, who's the president? Okay.
Sheriff's office.
Okay, we got an ambulance coming, okay? You just keep on, stay with us, all right?
Okay.
Got an ambulance coming in.
They're coming right now.
Yeah.
Is there room for them to drive up here?
We got him to the there.
Okay.
All right, where's our patient?
Right here.
Right here. This one's deceased. He's deceased. She was handcuffed to this chair. She said he did it. Okay. He shot her. She shot him. I've got a gun here. Yeah. No, you're good.
How we looking over here? Where's our gunshot?
We got one right here.
Entrance and exit.
Okay.
I'm guessing, anyways, it might be two.
Okay. What's your name? How
Am I good?
I'm guessing the guy in suspenders is the son that was in the basement. Here is that heavy chair that Christine drug herself to and fro while she was handcuffed.
How many gunshot wounds do you think? At least 5? 10 or more.
Garage over here, the door's open. There's a garage over here.
Okay, Kim, I verified no pulse breathing on that guy or no?
We need to do anything further for him.
I don't think. It looks like the way his bag was, it might have kept him from breathing afterwards.
Pay close attention to the way the police and investigators are talking after the victim is out of her house. It's interesting to see that they, in my opinion, they just don't believe her because it just sounds too crazy to be true. They'll soon find out, however.
You put any cases on the gun?
What's that?
You put any cases on the gun?
I pulled all of them out.
Hey, drop it.
When I first got here.
There you go. You're good.
And the 3 got these, and the 3 is responding.
I don't know if it's it looks like a small bolt. But...
Okay, we got a couple steps coming down. There's one.
Okay, we're going to Ermac. Yep.
Sorry, confirm ambulance 3 is responding to the crack.
I can take a 5 minute snow if you want.
The one in the living room? Yeah, because it was sitting right next to her when I showed up, and so I put it to the side and dumped all the casings.
So, for the next time, don't do that.
Don't clear the gun?
No.
As 85-year-old Christine Jenneiahn and her son are rushed to the hospital, he rode in the ambulance with her.
There's not forced entry, correct?
Yes, there is. On that door over.
Yep, There's no way. There's no way what? She didn't. She was handcuffed to the chair when they got here. Right, Zachary?
Yes, I unhandcuffed her.
Yeah. And look at the shots. We shot this guy. Exactly. That's what we're saying. And then the EMT said she has about 10 holes in her. They don't know if she's gonna make it. It's scary. Oh. Yeah, she got shot about at least 10 times. So, and then there's 2 in here. Somebody else was here. Yeah. Somebody else. Yes. There's no.
We need to get a good interview on that's her son.
Initially, he said he's downstairs, heard nothing, seen nothing. He had his fan going in his room. Something is.
That's what he said from the get-go. I came in, he just standing there going, like, who did what? He goes, I was downstairs.
Sorry. And that's what's wrong. I think so. Where's Travis?
Gardner. And I think that's what the guys with her. I think they put the guy in the ambulance.
No camera?
There's forced entry in the back door.
You see any?
Vehicle around.
The son, he had to. Where's he at? We get him. So he's like partially deaf.
So that gun there was laying with her. The revolver was laying with her. This gun was right there where it was laying, and he's got one with the silencer by his head. Nobody's touched it.
Was the gun like that?
Yes.
Just like that?
Just like that. Nobody's touched anything up here. The only thing we touched was unhandcuffed her from the chair.
Cody,
And she was
is it
right,
available
she was
for calls?
sitting in
No.
right where that chair is.
No, the chair was laying right here. She was laying
wouldn't
with
you?
her head here.
So wouldn't you?
This is like the top. Her head's right here. Her body's laying. And the chair was upside down, and she's handcuffed to it.
Now, confirm, who called 911?
She had a phone laying right next to her when I got to her.
Where's that phone?
It's on the ground right there.
By the gun. Okay.
We can verify
That was
that.
the female who was talking to dispatch, said she just shot the intruder.
How did she get?
Yeah.
This is weird. But and you can have that. Was she legitimately handcuffed?
She was.
You had to do
I
it.
had both hands were around that chair.
The chair, the handcuffs were around the chair, and she was handcuffed. I watched him undo the.
I had to put my key in each one and unhandcuff her.
Someone shot from right here. Yeah, someone shot from
So
He
the
swears
medics-
he didn't.
the
So
medics
we just need to
moved
get
this
it.
chair.
Travis needs to interview him really bad.
Well, he's going to the
chair was
hospital.
laying right there next to her.
And when we look at him too, like if he has shots on his side, the shots were from
Does that make sense? You got shot right
How
there.
many of those are spent on that?
All of them?
There should be.
I think only 2.
There should be 3.
I only see 2.
There's one left in the gun still.
And then there's the bigger.
So they got shot without gun.
I'll just.
From right. Which I'm guessing he's gonna have a gunshot against this side right now. When he stood up and shot him.
Let's do a search warrant on the house. I'm thinking we leave some somebody in your house. We want to recheck it? You want me to go check the perimeter, look for vehicles?
As I said earlier, the detectives initially do not believe the shooting story or the break-in story. But then evidence starts to appear before their eyes. They see where he broke in. They see tracks leading up to the house.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
coming out.
These are mine. Oh, yeah.
There's another one.
Yeah, they're walking out. No footprints walking in. I'm at 341, 319. Okay, looks clear from here. I can't see the back seat very well. Well, wasn't a bad call going on too, in case there was someone here with the scanners thinking, "Oh, I've been busted."
There's no footprints walking to it. All the footprints we see are walking away. So, but yeah.
Hey, if we, yeah, I can, unless you pointed out, I wouldn't have seen it. Now, if we get a driver's license photo of the RO and it comes back and it looks like that guy, even better.
You want to ask if there's a male RO?
That's like CRV. Nobody's in it. There was footprints leading away. Look, that alert we were chasing.
You were chasing us?
All right.
After the deputies found the car with the tracks only leading from the car to the home, now they start to believe the 85-year-old story.
Get photos of both.
Hello. Yeah, I know it is. But I think it's, I mean, so it's been here for a little while. Looks like it. So. Yeah. So I have. Yeah, for sure.
Look at your footprints.
Yeah.
You don't think it's bigger than that?
Yeah.
Kind of melted.
We have dispatch.
Well, even the ones we followed from the house are already getting filled in.
Well, this is what's. So he either did he back in?
No, you're right here.
It looks like
Oh, he came there, pulled in.
there, backed
Yeah,
up.
that's right.
Does anyone have a ruler or something on them?
Not on me.
I've got a little blue ruler in the truck.
I don't have anything on me.
See if it measures the same as the ones up there at the house, which I didn't bring a ruler.
I don't have a ruler.
Little by little, one piece of evidence at a time just fell in line with Jenneahn's story. From the handcuffs to, well, everything added up. And the ransacking, the coins, every single thing. Lo and behold, it turned out it only took 3 months from the time of the shooting until there was a closed case. They were able to determine without a doubt that what Jenneiahn said in the 911 call and in her post interviews all added up to the same conclusion. She killed a man in self-defense. If Derek had survived, he would have been charged with multiple felonies, including attempted murder, kidnapping, burglary, aggravated battery, and grand theft, according to Mr. Jolly. In the end, just because the story sounded too crazy to be true, and it was supposed that an old lady was delusional, it turned out she was anything but. Jenneiahn is one of very clear mind, even after being pistol whipped and left for dead. They found that there was blood on the pillow and on the floor, so she was most likely pistol whipped before she ever woke up. So obviously, she woke up. I mean, even to wake up from a deep sleep, you'd be like, what's happening? But then to have been hit in the head, and, the fact that she was able to come up with everything that happened and be such a good shot to save her own life and the life of her son. Now that is a true Idahoan. Let me know your thoughts. What would you do if you were in this situation? Do you think you would have believed her 911 call? Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you again soon. See ya.